Good evening and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis. And of course, this evening we have one of our favorite guests. We have Dr. Angela Celeste May. We know her as our forensically clinical and organizationally trained psychologist. She is the president and co-founder of A.M and Associates Incorporated. She is the president and founder of Celeste Productions Incorporated, the past president of the Michigan Psychological Association Foundation Board. She is a member of the Metro Detroit Association of Black Psychologists, author, musician, and also trustee of the Michigan Health Council. Good evening, Dr. Angie. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Kim. Good evening. I'm doing very well. Well and
Happy,
thriving, I like to say.
wonderful, and Happy New Year. I forgot. We haven't seen each other. Happy New
That's true.
Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
So I know it's January and we are deep into our plans, but this evening, our topic that we're going to talk about, what living in the present moment,
Mhm.
why is that so difficult? You know, Dr. Angie, it's January. People are looking at their calendars, they're filling them up with plans for the year, plotting out things, listing goals. I'm going to do this by such and such, and everybody's looking ahead.
Mhm.
Why is it so hard to just live in the moment wherever you are?
Excellent question, and an important one for all of us. I would say the short answer, the quick and short answer has to do, part of it has to do with our emotions.
Mhm.
And by that I mean um, fear and
Mhm.
anxiety, those two things in particular,
Yes.
um, are emotions that can, I guess you could say, we can allow them to. I won't say they make them more difficult, but we can allow those emotions to make it more difficult for us to stay in the moment. So, what I mean by that is, uh, if we think about just like, for example, what you were saying,
Mhm.
planning, looking forward to what the goals, the things we want to get done, that's not a bad thing at all. That's good. That helps us to be motivated. It helps to give some structure to our direction. All those good things. So do just looking ahead just by itself, I wouldn't say that that's unhealthy or a bad thing. However, to your question, sometimes we can get to the point where we're living there, meaning we spend so much time looking at the future, like just like you're saying, and
Mhm.
and not looking at the present. I
Mhm.
think fear can definitely be one of those reasons. Like I said, fear and anxiety. Well, what are we feeling afraid of? It could be of, fear that I might not get these things done, fear that I might fail at getting these things done, fear that I might be late to get these things done, fear that I might let myself down or others I've made a commitment to. So, fear, just that part alone, can really, if we allow it to, get in the way of living in the moment, continuing to look ahead because we're afraid of dropping the ball. Um, and the anxiety kind of can go hand in hand with that. Um, Another emotion that can contribute to not living in the moment quite so much as perhaps we would like to has to do with a positive emotion, and that can be um, I'm thinking, for example, looking back.
Mhm.
We look back, sometimes people don't live in the moment because they spend so much time looking back and remembering things. So they can remember positive things, remember, boy, I remember how wonderful it used to be, or how life used to be, or, again, same thing. It's not a bad thing to look back. It's not, it can be heartwarming to reminisce. It can remind us of, our strengths, our successes. It can remind us of people whom we love, who maybe aren't with us anymore. It can bring a lot of warm feelings. It can help bring closure. So there can be a lot of positives to it. But again, the problem is if we do it so much that we stay looking in the past, that we're not looking at who we are and where we are today, in the present. So emotions can have a lot to do with that. Uh, so again, not a bad thing, but maybe we could say it's a matter of balance.
Mhm.
No, looking forward is important. Looking back is important, but um, looking at the president, looking around you, looking at what you have right now. Um, that fear again. Sometimes we don't want to look at where we are. now, because it can add to the frustration of what we haven't yet accomplished. Or we can, add to feeling down because of what we have felt that we've lost and what we no longer have. So I would really say our emotions have a lot to do with why it can be difficult to live in the moment sometimes.
Excellent. And fear is a big thing. But here's something else I want us to think about. Comparison is the thief of joy. And so many times, Dr. Angie, we'll
Mhm,
have people who will not only just reminisce about the good things, but
mhm,
they will look at other people and say, well, why do they have? Why don't I have? Or why didn't I do? Oh,
mhm.
goodness. And they get hung up on mistakes, things that were said that
Yes.
maybe have a negative uh, effect or connotation to their reputation, to who they are or who they perceive themselves to be.
Mhm,
What would you tell someone who is stuck feeling fearful or anxious or depressed? How can they pull themselves out of that spot
mhm.
without comparing themselves to others, making themselves feel even worse?
I think, well, there are, like many things, there's a few ways different things might work for different people. So there's a few things that people can try and find out what works best for them. Um, One thing I would say is that comparison, while we know it can be detrimental, um, it can be helpful in a couple of different instances. So one instance could be comparing yourself to yourself in a way that reminds you of the strengths and talents and gifts that you have. So I know that, like we're saying, sometimes the looking back in a negative way, um, feeling, staying in a negative mentality and emotion about what was lost or what you don't have anymore. But one way to try to pull yourself out of that or to work on that is to think about those things that you have celebrated over the years. And that's a way of turning away from other people in terms of comparing yourself to them and turning, like looking in the mirror and dealing with who you are and what you have. So
Mhm.
comparing yourself to yourself in terms of, try to think of situations or a situation that you felt very challenged in and you were able to get yourself out of it, or you were able to navigate that successfully. Think about things that you were able to accomplish that maybe you didn't think you could, or it was a particular challenge. Remembering those kinds of things can be a helpful way to remember the gifts, talents, and strengths that you have for the purpose of building on them today. Think about problem solving situations, for example, that you may have had. Some people, it can be a slippery slope where you get so focused and bogged down into the negative, putting yourself down in terms of, like you said, comparing to other people.
Mhm.
Um, but if you don't feel that you have a long list, if you don't have a long list of accomplishments, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to. If it was just one thing you might remember, maybe it was way back in the first grade when were an
Mhm.
excellent diplomat and your friends were fighting over that doll, and you were able to navigate them and get them to agree. In anything. There's all of, any of those kinds of real life stories, even if it's just one, is a way of reminding you that you have um, the ability to do more than maybe you're, remembering. And then you can think about, well, you know what? I am able to problem solve. I did it. If I did it once, I can do it again, or I am able to, pull myself out of some, or figure it out, or whatever the success. No, and this is the thing, no matter how small,
Mhm.
you don't have to put a measuring stick on it. It's best not to put a measuring stick on it. No matter how large or small, you did that. You were
Mhm.
able to do that, whether it's with your relationships or something you were working on, whatever. Um, that's a way to turn away from comparing yourself to other people, looking in the mirror and dealing with who you are and what you have to offer. So a lot of times just starting with one thing can be a building block, and then can start to add to it. So that's one thing I would say. And also write it down. We talk about writing, journaling, and all those
Mhm.
things help,
Mhm.
gratefulness journals. Write it down. whether it's in a journal, or you can do all of this in a journal. You can paste it, what is it, sticky notes, put it on your mirror.
Mhm.
Positive things that you have done, positive affirmations, reminding yourself that you do have strength. You have gifts and talents you haven't even discovered yet, or that you can build on. So remembering them, reminding yourself about them, and working on keeping them front of mind can be helpful for, getting back to just you working on, you. Um, and the other form of comparison that can be helpful, for some people, different things work for different folks. I know I find it heartening a lot of times when I hear someone's story that sounds like it might be similar to yours. It might be completely different from your story, but just hearing about other people who seem to have succeeded in their relationships, or seem to have succeeded in whatever they're doing,
Mhm.
and when they tell their story of some of their trials and tribulations, or times when they felt insecure, or that they really felt like they were failing, and maybe they were failing in terms of whatever their yardstick is, or however the world views it. um, I think that's so helpful when people share their stories. If you look up a video of some of your favorite, public figures, or read a biography or something like that, um, that's a kind of comparison, not to compare yourself to them, but just taking some encouragement from other people who have, because we've all got, like you say, everyone goes through things. We
Mhm.
all have our struggles. So looking to people that you might admire, and it helps you realize that you're not alone, that it can help you feel a little less isolated. And oftentimes there's so many lessons that we can learn from each other, from having gone through and sharing some of those trials and tribulations. So that's a kind of comparison that
Mhm.
can be helpful. And I would say the last thing, a perfect example, she does it all the time, and that's Michelle Obama, our wonderful forever first lady.
Yes.
She's really, she's always sharing stories,
Mhm.
um, about challenges in her life, or when she felt insecure or whatever, and lessons that she learned from people around her, from her parents, or whatever the case may be. So those are two things that I would strongly encourage people to consider.
That is great advice. One of the things that I always tell people, my competition is in the mirror. I'm
Yeah.
only competing against myself, my former self from the
Yes.
day before. Every day is another day or another opportunity to get it right. And I'm trying to be better than I was the day before.
Mm-hmm.
I also tell people, I said, and I said, I'm good for it because I'm a planner. I like to set goals. I want to set, a strategy for where I'm trying to go this year, how I'm going to elevate myself, because elevate is my word for 2024. It's all about elevation.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have to remember it's not just about the destination, the
Yeah.
journey is just as important.
Absolutely.
And I think that sometimes people forget and they say, I'll be happy when I get to whatever it is,
Mm.
when I get to travel, when I get free time, when I
Absolutely.
retire, I will be happy this weekend when I'm not working. And then when you're at home, you're like, oh, I have all this stuff. Where are these people in my house? Oh, you guys require me to do something? You know, and I was reminded of this. Happiness is something only an individual can control. So
Mm.
I'm the only person that can make me happy. Yes, Idris Elba can walk into the room and I would smile and be like, "Hi, Mr. Elba, how are you? Did you come to see me?" That would make me very, very happy. However, that's a fleeting moment.
Yes.
And, it's one of those things that in our celebrity obsessed culture, everybody's like, oh, if I was such and such, I'd be happy. I said, and how many times do we see celebrities
Hmm.
that are miserable?
Absolutely.
And so understanding that happiness is a choice. How do we
Yeah.
choose it? Especially sometimes, this may be repetitive, Dr. Angie, but sometimes on our journey, we're not quite where we want to be.
Hmm.
It's a little bit uncomfortable. We're growing. We're frustrated because it's not moving as fast as we want, or
Hmm.
we didn't get as far as we thought we should. But we're supposed to be happy and content in whatever state that we find ourselves, according to Paul from the word.
Yes. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with everything that you just said. I'm definitely a proponent of the same, just like you were saying. Happiness is a choice.
Mhm.
And you know what else is, you know how they say that love is a verb, that
Mhm.
love is an action word, which it is. I would say so is happiness. It's something that you need to practice. And one of the things I tell people all the time, and I really practice this myself, and that is there are mental habits. I've talked about it other times on your
Mhm.
show. We have mental
Mhm.
habits. Whether it's putting yourself down in your head or whether it's cussing somebody else out, who, you know, ran past you on the road or whatever in their car, whatever it is, at every moment really of every day, we have choices as far as how we respond mentally, the way that we think about it, how we sometimes we don't have as much choice about how we respond emotionally because sometimes that's organic and it just, comes out. But you do have choices about what you can do with that emotion, how you express that emotion, how you explain that emotion to yourself.
Mhm.
So yes, there is a lot of choice in happiness. So ways to cultivate happiness is to just, start with the way that you think, really deal with how you perceive things. Um, and it can be just that little bit of, instead of if you usually say, oh man, this is just gonna be a mess. This is just gonna be awful. What's around here? Work on being aware and, everyone we've got the buzzwords. Everyone's got their buzzwords.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
being intentional. I'm not gonna say intentional. Nothing wrong with intentional, but everybody and their mama talks about intentional. So I'm just gonna
Yes.
say be, on purpose, be aware.
Mhm.
And we aren't perfect at these things, but just start. So instead of, oh man, this is just gonna be a mess. Well, sometimes you may catch yourself saying that and say, well, you know what? Maybe it won't be. Let's wait
Mhm.
and see how it's gonna turn out. I'm gonna believe that it'll turn out well. There's a reason for everything. If it doesn't work the way that I want, working on different positive responses to the world doesn't mean tiptoeing through the tulips with a blindfold on and you pretend like you can't see, the reality in front of you. The reality is there. But um, again, the way I was going to say explain it, the way we define the same world around us in terms of, are there lessons to learn? Don't call yourself an idiot. Say, you know what, that's all right. Another buzzword people say is, give
Yeah.
yourself grace.
Mhm.
Give yourself room to make mistakes. I almost never, I very rarely, I do not call myself names in my head. Because I wasn't raised to do that. You don't put other people down, so you're supposed to love yourself as you
Mhm.
love
Mhm.
your neighbor as you love yourself, right? And so if I catch myself saying, oh man, I might say that was so stupid what I just did. I'll never say I'm stupid. I'll
Mhm.
never say I'm stupid. And here's the thing: if I do, I apologize to myself. I'm sorry.
Very good.
I do. I'll say, "Oh no, I'm sorry." That's all. I actually do. I do. So yeah, it's those little things because happiness overall, some of us are wired differently. I tend to be a sunnier personality, brighter personality, but I also work on some things because it can be they both build on each other. It can be a slippery slope. So if you tend to think negative and respond negatively and angrily, that it just can become a habit. And so by the same token, like any habit, the more you do it to the positive, the more it becomes a part of you. It doesn't mean your whole personality is going to change, and it doesn't have to. You don't have to be glasses half full all day. But what you can say is, that glass is half empty, but I'm sure glad I have some water.
That's right.
I'm glad I have some water. So yeah, practicing mental habits. And then other things too that I find very helpful are, um, the scripture says this as well. Jesus said, you'll always have the poor with you. There's
Yes.
always someone going through something more than you could ever imagine.
Mhm.
So counting your blessings one by one, practicing having a positive attitude, practicing trying to lift somebody else up, even in your own head. Um, something that takes away from happiness, as an example, is the habit of putting people down,
Mm-hmm.
which I would say is an indication of your own insecurity. You always got to put
Yep.
somebody else down so you can feel good. Just again, being aware and practicing catching yourself doing some of those things, and try, working on a different reaction, a different thought, goes a long ways towards cultivating happiness. Definitely counting your blessings. Counting your blessings is, like my grandmother used to say, it's impossible to be depressed and thankful at the same time.
That's right.
So it's where you spend your time, where you spend your mind. If you're trying to help someone else, if you're thinking about other people who are in need, even as you might be in need, that, there's nothing like giving to somebody else that can help you feel better. That, what do they say? When you help someone else, you're really helping two people. It lifts you
You're
up.
helping yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. All of those things contribute, I would say contribute to happiness. Um, and the same thing with dealing with people in terms of our relationships. We talk about toxic relationships and what that looks like. Um, if you are in one, it could be with a family member, as we've talked about, these many shows with the, family, the examples of the family, the holidays, the little red wagon, all that stuff coming back to haunt. The cousin that never lets things go, all of those things, or a spouse, whomever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we talked about even then, it's not always the easiest thing to do, but you build strength and you build inner strength by practicing treating people the way you want to be treated. So when you have other people who may be toxic and spewing their toxicity in your direction, rather than spew back, you can step
Right.
back a little bit and, oh wow, I am so sorry you feel that way. And then
Mm-hmm.
do whatever you feel you should do next. If it's to try to have a conversation with them, try to find out what's going on with them, or just exit the room, exit stage left, make some space between you and that person. Um, I think all of those steps collectively can contribute to a happier existence. Also doing things that you love, doing things that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing um, how much we don't allow ourselves to do some things that we enjoy because we either think it's selfish or there's not enough time,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be the littlest thing like taking time to take a bath,
Yep.
or the littlest thing like watching a Pistons game, which is on right now.
Or watching
The
Alliance and putting on
Lions,
post. Yep.
lots of
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I don't have time. I've got to make lunch for the kids for tomorrow and everything. So take 5 minutes, or put it on while you're finding
And that's
finding ways.
living, and that's living in the present moment, because
Yeah,
that's a great example you just said. Because I know lots of people, because I've been there, where the kids want you to, mommy, come watch this with me. No, I need to do this, this, and this
yeah.
because it needs to be done. But
Mhm.
you're not present. You're not living
Exactly.
in that moment. You are stuck in the mindset of, oh, let me get my responsibilities done. And not
Exactly.
advocating that we're not being responsible, but at the same time, it is important to make time for yourself and take care of
Absolutely.
yourself.
That's right. And like, perfect example. You're exactly right. Because I've done the same thing,
Mhm.
taking time with your loved ones, taking time. It's so important. It's almost more important than some of the other obligations, even though they're
Right.
important. But
Mhm.
those moments with your kids, those moments with your loved ones, they can be fleeting, and those are memories that will be there that you'll build with them forever.
Mhm.
And the connection to your physical health, your psychological well-being, your spiritual well-being is so tied to those things. Taking time for things that you enjoy, taking
Mhm.
time for spending time with people you enjoy. You may
Mhm.
not, it can be everything from like you said, just sit down and watch this with your kid. There are people who will give their eye teeth for their kid to say, come watch this with me.
Yeah.
Or there are people who remember when their kid said, come watch this with me, and maybe they've grown and gone, and they're, the next state over. Those moments are so precious and so
Mhm.
important. And then making times we may be busy, and somebody was talking about, well, we are busy, talking about how these days, if you want to like have lunch with a friend or something like that, everyone gets their calendar out, we're also busy, but still get your calendar out
Mhm.
and and nail down a date for a lunch or something. Those kinds of things. It's so important. like you said, taking care of yourself, take time for things that you enjoy. Even if it's just a crossword puzzle, whatever it is, it's extremely important. So all of those things, counting your blessings, taking time, changing the way that you respond to things, your mentality, the way you think about things, all of that can are the building blocks, I would say, for joy. And then after you, for happiness and joy. And after a while, again, they become more part of you. There may still be some struggle with that a little bit
Mhm.
over time, but more and, more and more, the more you do it, like anything else, the more it becomes part of you.
Wow, that's a great way to end our interview for this month. Thank you, Dr. Angie. Bef-
Thank you.
Before we get out of here, you got to tell us how we can find you on social media. How can we reach you and all the wonderful things that you have going on?
Thank you. Thank you for asking. Well, I'll first say this for those who will be listening to this, even though this is January, end of January 31st, we're taping it.
Mhm.
I'm wearing my pre-Valentine's pink and hearts. I just had to announce that for no particular reason whatsoever than that it just brought me joy. I'm modeling behavior.
Very good. Very
Modeling behavior.
good.
And January is about it's about love and joy anyway.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes.
Well, you can find me on most of the basic socials. I'm not on Tinder and well, Tinder, that's a dating app. I'm happily
Yeah.
married. I guess I'm not. See, that's how much I know about it. Like, oops, not on Tinder. Not there. But I am on Facebook. I'm on Facebook and it's just for the most part, it's my name everywhere. Just Angela Celeste May.
Mhm.
So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I have a YouTube channel. I am on LinkedIn as well. So you can find me as Angela Celeste May or Dr. Angela Celeste May. Um, you can find me on my individual on those platforms as an individual on Twitter/X, which I don't use as
Yeah.
much anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can find me on there as well as Celeste MUS1. I think that's the name. As either myself or with my sister, our company, A.M. and Associates Incorporated. We are a counseling, consulting, and coaching company. So you can find us on our Facebook page and on our Instagram as well. Um, and also on our website, which is amaassociates.com. What our company has coming up is actually it's coming up in the fall, but my sister's doing a lot of work, leading up to that right now. So do go to our sites for this fantastic in-person retreat that she's going to be doing. It's her first in-person. She's done virtual retreats for creative professionals. So this is the
Mhm.
first in-person one that she's going to be doing. The northern part of mid part of Michigan, beautiful, and it's going to take place in the fall. So do check that out. There's a deadline coming up to put your deposit in if you want to participate. The deadline is May 1st. So yeah, you want to get your stuff in there. So check that out. What else do I have going on right now? I am faculty at Wayne County Community College District as well. I teach all the courses in the psych department. So if you're nearby, I'm not teaching it this semester at this moment, but I do that as well. I do have my book, which is Freedom: What is the Experience of Living at Paper Without Negative Self-Imposed Limitations. You can get that on Amazon and any place where you get your books and your ebooks as well. It's a wonderful book about resilience, basically. It's a research project that I did, and there were 7 key themes that came out of that you can check out that you might find helpful. Many people have. I'm professional musician also, so if you want to reach out and you're interested in booking me as a vocalist, I play instruments as well. You can contact me at Celeste MUS. So that's CELESTE, M as in music, US, and the number 1 at AOL.com. Um, I have my Reverb Nation page as well that has both of my albums on it. So I've just got a lot going on. A lot going on. I'm writing some stuff that's coming up. And I'll be performing later this year. So thank you for asking. So I'm out here. I'm out here doing stuff. And I just well, I'll talk more about it after I've completed the process, but I was just invited to join a wonderful organization that supports the youth in arts. So I was just recruited to
Nice.
join this amazing group of women It's a national organization. They have chapters all over the country, and I'm very excited about that. So that I'll talk more about that a little bit later after I finish the actual joining process, but I'm excited about that too. So always stuff going on, always stuff going on.
Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. This is
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank you. I
You
appreciate
are
it.
amazing.
Aw. From says one amazing woman to another.
Well, thank you, thank
I
you, thank you, thank
appreciate
you.
it.
No problem. So thank you, Dr. Angie, for being on the show. We are always thrilled and excited whenever you're with us because you always bring us lots and lots of information. We know that next month we'll have another exciting topic, and we can't wait to get to talk to you again then. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning into the Kim B. Davis Show. You know, you can find me everywhere on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yes, that's X. I'm also on Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere on social media as Kimberly Bachelor Davis. Bachelor is spelled Batchelor. You can see this show at youtube.com/Kimberly Bachelor Davis. You can hear this show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Wisdom. And you can learn more about me as an author at kimbdavis.com. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope you'll join us on our next episode. And as always, remember, be magnificent.